Welcome to Lesson 20. This second lesson on estate planning provides an introduction to trusts. A trust is merely a legal entity set up for some specific purpose. In general, it holds property for the future benefit of somebody. There is a good chance you're already involved in a trust. Look at the statement for your IRA, 401k, 403b, or other retirement plan. You may see words like so-and-so trust company, FBO, your name, or such and such bank custodian, rollover IRA for the benefit of your name. Essentially, all of the retirement assets within your account belong to a larger pool of money that is held in trust for your protection. This trust account is segregated from the general assets of the financial institution. They're holding your property in trust for your benefit. Although this is a trust, we will focus more on trusts that people set up for each other's benefits over corporate trusts. Being involved in a trust is sort of like playing a part in a play. Regardless of who you are in real life, in the trust you have to play the part assigned to you. Since you may have multiple parts, you need to remember that what you were playing, you need to remember what you are playing when you take action. In turn, it begins with the settlers or the trustors. They are the people who decide to create a trust. They also set the rules for the trust. There are, of course, some sort of government rules here, but for the most part, you can imagine a set of rules. If you can imagine a set of rules, there is a smart lawyer who can think of a way to write them into a trust. The trustee plays the part of chief operating officer. He or she is in charge of carrying out the intent of the trust based upon the words in the trust. The property is held in the trustee's name, not personally, but as the trustee, or again, chief operating officer. The beneficiary is the person or entity to which the property may be distributed, or, the easiest way to think about that, the person that benefits from the trust's existence. Trusts come in two types, revocable and irrevocable. A revocable trust means the settlor can change the rules. In an irrevocable trust, the rules cannot be changed once set up except by court action. It's pretty much a very cemented trust. The classic living trust is revocable. The living trust has you as a settlor or as a trustee and as a beneficiary, and is also called a inter vivos trust. A living trust has a number of different features. The trust owns your property even though you retain full control of it. You still pay taxes on the income generated by your trust at personal income tax rates. It remains part of your estate for estate tax purposes. It specifies who should serve as trustee in case of your incapacity or death. It also specifies what to do with the property in case of incapacity or your death. The property does not change hands at death, and it remains in the name of the trustee of the trust. For that reason, it does not go through probate. In other words, a basic living trust allows property to avoid probate and to quickly and efficiently pass to your beneficiaries that you assign. With married couples, there is a possibility that each of them may have different ideas about how their property should be distributed. While they're both alive, they will have to work it out with themselves. But what do you think would happen if they both pass away in a car wreck? What if one predeceases the other? These scenarios present major challenges in developing a suitable living trust. Let's take a moment and look at this. Dealing with simultaneous death is pretty straightforward in modest estates. In preparing the trust, you establish what is separate property, joint property, and of course, community property. The trust will direct the successor trustee to divide joint and community property equally into each descendant estate and separate property to the estate of the individual owner. In complicated or unbalanced estates, there's the possibility to make other choices in order to minimize estate taxes. The ABC Trust is a conceptual framework for handling the division of property of a married couple at the first death. It can be customized to meet your specific needs. It's called an ABC trust because the clauses direct the trustee of the revocable living trust to divide the trust into three trusts known as the A trust, the B trust, and the C trust at the death of one of the spouses. Basically the death of the first spouse. In order to be prepared for the potential of widely spread deaths, provisions should be made to take the following actions at the death of the first spouse. The trustee is directed to split the property of the living trust into 2 or potentially 3 successor trusts. The A trust, often called the survivor's trust, is a revocable trust with the surviving spouse as the settlor and contains his or her share of the property. The B trust, often called the bypass trust or credit shelter trust, is an irrevocable trust containing the deceased spouse property up to the estate tax exclusion amount. However, the deceased spouse has already made an unexchangeable election as to who is next in line to receive their assets. The living spouse has no real ability to alter that written command. This could potentially protect the children of the deceased spouse if the living spouse falls out of favor with them or has more children of their own with a new partner. The C trust is an irrevocable trust containing the remainder of the deceased spouse's property with the same unalterable election. Another easy way to remember the A and B system is the A trust is for the person that's still alive. A for alive, or also above ground. The B trust is also commonly referred, in many jokes anyway, referred to as the B trust because that person is below the ground. So again, A for alive, B for below ground. Just an easy way to remember that. However, you're probably not going to see any sort of legal document. Thus, the primary problems are solved. The surviving spouse gets unfettered access to their part of the joint estate by virtue of the A trust. The deceased spouse gets to declare the who, what, when, and the who, what, when, and why for the distribution of their estate. They can take full advantage of the estate tax exclusion for both of them. This concludes the lesson. In the next lesson, we'll examine gift and estate taxes.